everyone. Hi, Mark.
Hello, I'm so sorry I'm late.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. These things happen, traffic, all of the rest. So we appreciate you rushing and joining us today. But yes, you're here. So welcome. How are you doing?
All right, I'm sweaty. First tip, don't rely on British trains if you have a meeting at 9:30. So I'm really, really sorry, everyone. And hopefully
Honestly,
it's worth it.
don't worry. No, we've got loads of people here. Just excited to see you, Mark. So do you want to, why don't you just start by a little bit of an introduction on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I am head of diversity at early talent at News UK. So that's a news media organisation with titles including The Sun, The Times and Sunday Times, Times Radio, Talksport, Virgin Radio, Talk Radio, and we're part of a wider group, News Corp, as well, that also includes HarperCollins, the book publisher, Dow Jones Wall Street Journal, as well as a number of other things. And my job is to create pipelines for talented, brilliant people like the ones watching to find their way into journalism, which is one of the most elitist industries. And obviously that's really unfortunate because we need to make sure that the people choosing the stories and telling the stories about British society represent British society as well. So yeah, big focus on that.
Amazing, amazing. Well, yes, really excited to have you again. There is a chat box, everyone. So if you did have any questions for Mark, um, do let him know. Do let us know in the chat. So Mark is very happy to answer any questions today. Um, well, do you want to start a bit about, I guess, yeah, if a young person wants to get into journalism media, like what are the different types of roles? Because I think people only think of maybe journalists.
Yeah, that's such a good question and so pertinent because we've recently just had an application window for our apprenticeships, and some of the jobs that are less traditional, that don't have journalists in them, were less popular and could be really good ways to get into a newsroom. So, obviously, within the newsroom, you have journalists, and their job is to go out and find stories and tell those stories in the best possible way. But then around that, you'll have production journalists. That's how I started. So you might see job roles like sub editor or production journalist, and your job is to knock the copy into shape. But journalism is probably one third of the size of a newsroom. So there's also a huge audience team. Some people call those social teams. And their job is to get those stories and make sure they're on different platforms, optimized in the right way. And increasingly, we're seeing a huge amount of jobs across our industry in video. And there's various reasons for that, but predominantly it's because YouTube has won the race to become the world's TV channel, and lots of news media organizations are trying to translate the stories they do into video. They've probably been a little bit slower, but I'm imagining a lot of the people watching this today are younger. And obviously, you guys are used to, you do read and you do read stories, but you also get your news from podcasts and social media, and news kind of comes to you, and that's predominantly video. So I'd say within a newsroom, there's video, social or audience, and then journalism itself. And I started as a sub editor. I wanted to be a writer, but getting your foot in the door and moving from within is often a lot easier than trying to land the perfect job right at the very start. And so, but then also for those watching who don't necessarily want to be directly getting those stories, there's also lots of jobs in engineering and crew and stuff like that. So you could be a director, camera operator, sound engineer. So a lot of our broadcast titles have a lot of jobs around there. And then there's also sales and marketing, huge part of what we do, tech jobs as well. Obviously, everyone in tech is thinking, I want to work at Google or Meta, but every single industry has huge tech teams. So there are a ton of opportunities and a ton of things that go into making sure that authenticated, true news is finding its way into people's feeds, which in 2025 is increasingly challenging.
Yeah, yeah. So really, there's like a role for everyone. I mean, how many people do News UK employ?
So we have, I think, around 2,700 staff, Majority based in London and the Southeast, but we also have offices in Glasgow for the Scottish Sun, Dublin for the Irish Sun, and Irish Sunday Times, and as well. And we have offices in Manchester and a huge chunk in Peterborough, where a lot of our finance and HR roles are as well.
Mm. Wow. Okay. Amazing. So there's just so many different roles. And like you said, I think you don't need to know exactly what you want to do right now.
Mm.
What are the early career, I guess, opportunities that you guys offer? Like, what are the first roles that pe people should be looking at?
So we have a number of different roles, but I'd say apprenticeships, like many companies now, these are increasingly being offered. We've taken the decision as well. I think when some people hear the word apprenticeship, they think 16-year-olds doing plumbing qualifications and stuff like that. For us, we took the decision that a number of people, particularly those watching today, will have already invested in their career, done a degree, and it felt harsh to skip those over and just focus on school leavers. So our apprenticeships are open to anyone 18 and over. They're paid at London living wage, so about 27K, and you will work 4 days a week in your role, and then 1 day a week we'll send you to college to do a qualification
Mhm.
in your particular area. So we've just done 14 journalism apprenticeships across all of our different titles. That window's closed. We're moving into the video interview stage of those now. But we have a huge chunk of roles about to open up in marketing, where there's
Mhm.
some really interesting challenges, particularly across the Times and the Sun, because the Times is a subscriber play, whereas the Sun and our broadcast titles are much more awareness. So, marketing, we've got some sales apprenticeships, including a really interesting one in sales strategy that I don't think people will necessarily
Oh.
look to. So, I think there could be
And what does that mean? What?
so that is looking at all of the technological developments that are happening, staying at the cutting edge of that. So AI, what does that mean for our sales team? So working in a team that is there to think about these big challenges and translate those. So
Yeah.
if you imagine like sales right now is totally flipped on its head with what you can do with AI. So it's really important we stay at the cutting edge of that. And that team has recognized that it would be really beneficial to them to have someone Gen Z who's a little bit more savvy in what that generation is their media habits and what they're doing. So not only is that a really interesting opportunity, but also one of those ones where your experience and where you are right now in your life is going to be really valued. So we've got some in our technology teams, and that's specifically around data and data governance, which is a huge area. I'm sure Eric see a lot of conversations about data nowadays. And we also have some HR apprenticeships, and interestingly, one in our archives as well. So if you imagine the Times is 270 years old and the Sun is 50 years old, huge number of pictures are taken, huge number of articles are published every single day. And we have a big team based out in Essex whose job it is to look after all of those artifacts and pull stuff
Wow.
out of the archive and sort of come up with interesting on this history pieces as well. So a really unique opportunity there.
Wow. You kind of forget that you do keep all of that on
Yeah,
record. Yeah.
some of the stuff in there is like absolutely amazing, particularly at the times, because obviously like hundreds of years ago there wasn't the internet, there wasn't. So they have the letters to the editor page was the way that people like Charles Dickens, Charles Darwin got their sort of ideas out there. So there's like handwritten letters from
Wow.
figures.
Physical letters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all of like yeah, some of the stuff in there is just mind blowing. So yeah, it's a really cool opportunity that.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Okay, well, that's great that you've got some early career opportunities coming up that I'm sure everyone's going to be really excited about. I think one of the difficult things is obviously how competitive it is at the moment for early, talent. And I'm sure you're getting hundreds of applications for all of these apprenticeships. So how can someone stand out on their application? Like, what advice do you have for young people applying at the moment to really get seen, and what could they be doing?
Look, and it is a question that you hear a lot at the minute. I think the first thing to say is you are absolutely right. So for our 12 journalism apprenticeships, we had just under 1,800 applications, and we kept the window fairly short. So there is a lot of appetite. But that said, don't feel as if that this, you can't cut through in that space. The other thing to say as well, just before we go into advice, is like, I think, particularly those of you that are looking for your first job, you have to bear in mind that this is a really unprecedented time, right? As in, like, particularly, my background is journalism. There has never been a tougher time to get a journalism job than right now, because not only are opportunities in short supply, like a lot of older people are sticking around longer than they used to, but also the industry is shrinking rather than growing at the minute. So the fact you can't find a job, if I'm sure a lot of you are banging out applications, it's not a reflection of you and your ability and your talent. It's just a really, really weird time. And you just have to keep knocking on doors. And annoyingly, you're probably going to have to knock on a few more doors than I did 19 years ago when I was starting out. But I promise you, you will make it if you don't give up. Okay. So, what I would say is whether it's journalism or our corporate role, we're kind of looking for three things. Okay. Um, Number one, particularly in the media industry, is that you're hardworking, determined, resilient. Okay. And you can demonstrate that in a variety of different ways. That could be volunteering, it could be you play for your local sports club, you have a Saturday job, maybe you're a young carer. Like, tell these stories. Like, working in a shop, you're engaging with lots of different people. When you're a journalist, you're engaging with lots of different people. There's so many soft skills that are transferable. So that's number one. Don't feel like you have to have specific experience related to the job you're applying for. Like, there's lots of, we all remember starting out. Number two is that you're passionate about the industry that you're looking at. So if that's journalism, read a wide variety of titles, even if those don't align with your personal politics. If it's marketing or HR, have a look at some of they're called B2B magazines. There's stuff like HR Today and Marketing Week, Campaign Magazine. Like, look at what's going on in the industry. Look at who's doing well, who's not. Have a look at some of those names. Just read and learn as much as you can about your industry. Yeah. Don't just rest on your laurels that I've done a marketing degree, therefore I should get a marketing job. Show that you're passionate about the industry, because whatever industry you're applying for, they are passionate about what they do and they want to know that you've got that same passion. And then the third bit, where I feel like everyone sort of falls down a little bit, is get across your passion for working at that place that you're applying to in particular. Even if you're lying, just go on their About Us section, look on their LinkedIn pages, look on their social media, look how they talk about themselves, about their successes, and the story that they tell about themselves. And then
Mhm.
make sure that you're applying to them. I see so many people that are smashing out hundreds of applications, and I'm like, they're going for quantity. Go for quality. Go for like fewer applications, but really put the effort into that. I love that writer. I love that campaign you did. I think the work you do on social media, but also have opinions on what they could do better. Like we were just talking about how valuable your social media experience is. You've grown up with social. It's in your DNA. So I like what you're doing on TikTok, but I think you could do this a bit better. Or have you
Mm,
considered doing this on YouTube? Like, even if they don't go for those ideas, they will love that you have suggestions and ideas. And it shows that I want to be part of this team and I want to make this team better. And those are
yeah.
positive messages to get across.
100%. I mean, we obviously get a lot of messages with people who want to work for Eric, and it is really obvious when the person doesn't really know what you do,
Mm,
um, and spelling your name wrong, or um, really obviously using AI, which I think I don't know whether what
yeah.
you have to say about AI and applications, but I think for us, it's just try not to make it look obvious that it's AI.
Yeah, I would definitely. We had can't remember what particular one it was. It wasn't in journalism. It was in one of the more corporate jobs. We had 300 applications and 294 had the exact same answer. So
Wow.
I
Really?
just I just rejected them and let the six people who'd actually bothered to answer that question go through to the assessment center. And that's like, everyone thinks they're being clever using AI. Everyone is using AI. And
Mhm.
actually, and I'm sure you see this at Eric as well, May, like, we want to get a flavor for the person that we're getting. We want
Mm,
to know, like, who you are. Like, so often will look at an application and look at your CV. Yep, one page, great. I know what skills you are, but it's the hobbies and interests. I'm like, oh, you're into that. And then in your cover letter, like, I want to get an idea of a person because whatever job you are, particularly at an early stage, you're going to have to be shaped and molded into the way that that company does things. And we know that. At Eric, we know that. At News UK, we know that. And we want to do that. But what we can't teach is passion, hard work, trust, authenticity. So get across those like personal stories because like this is about human to human connection, right? Like this is about I'm going to spend 40 hours a week with this person. Is that going to be an enjoyable 40 hours? And I'm not going to get a flavor of that if you're using AI. So it is a big turn off. Use it as a thought starter, but make sure your applications are all you and tell those stories about you as well. I want to know about you.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's hard to maybe look at your own CV sometimes, or application. And maybe it's hard to show that personality. I
Mm,
think if you look at your friend's CV, or look at other people that you know, and see, because it's more easier to see someone else that you know than sometimes yourself.
mm.
So, help each other out, help each other share their personality, because sometimes it's easier to explain your friend's personality than maybe your own personality.
I 100%. And one more thing I'd add though as well is like, I think like sometimes when you're applying for job or particularly in an interview, you're like trying to be the person you think they want you to be.
Mhm.
And like,
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. We had an application for a Sun journalist, and the question was around, tell us about a learning curve you've been on. And this person, and you don't have to you don't have to share in this way, but this person told a story about being cheated on and it was so human and so authentic and got people talking. And you're like, well, surely the job of a tabloid journalist is to tell a story that gets people sat up in their seat. And so she has demonstrated, whether she intended to or not, she has demonstrated something in that which you just can't. It's like a special something, and we're like, we want to put this person through, like because
Mm.
so you don't. It's not X Factor. You don't have to like create sub stories, but like do be honest. Like do give a hint of who you are. Don't try and be this. I've definitely done it in interviews where I've tried to be professional and da da da. It's like let them know who you are, and then if they turn you down, then maybe that's not the right workplace for you as well, because it's
Yeah.
important we're all happy and comfortable.
No, that's really, I love that kind of example, because I think you're right. It is different now to, like you were saying, when me and you were getting jobs, and it was probably a bit more experience related. Do you have a degree? Do you have this? Do you have this? And today, I think, like you said, it is just that authenticity, because you have to stand out from the crowd. Um, Well, we've nearly got time out, Mark. It's gone so quickly, but I've got a couple more questions just because I think everyone's really enjoying this. We've got lots of people joining us in your session, which is fantastic.
Amazing.
Um, I'd say, how you were talking about journalism has changed obviously hugely, media has changed hugely.
Mm,
Um, and you're saying that, the next generation, young people have been creating online content themselves. So actually, there's probably a lot that they could be doing themselves.
mm.
What if you were 16, 17, what would you be doing, Mark?
I would 100% have either my own TikTok channel, my own YouTube channel. I would be creating the kind of content I want to be, and for a couple of reasons. One is that, again, we were talking about that passion of the media industry, right? The metric of success for your own social channels is not that you're getting millions of views, it's that you're showing that every single day you can come up with ideas and follow those through and publish those. Okay. That if someone sends me their socials and they've got reams of content, even if they've got 20 views on each one, I don't care because that shows resilience in the journalism industry. In my building alone, there's probably 2,000 ideas pitched every single day, and probably about 1,500 get told no. So every single day, and particularly when you're starting out, you'll be pitching stuff that just doesn't work, and you'll learn more from the no's. So, number one, I'd be doing it for that. But also, number two, when you're a journalist, we all dream that we're going to get sent to the big stories. We're going to get sent to the Ukraine front line or be in court or go to the World Cup final. But the truth is, you're going to write about cats on skateboards for 5 years, and if you keep smiling through that, then eventually they'll throw you a bone and give you something bigger. So again, starting out, there aren't many opportunities for you to go, this is the kind of journalism and this is the kind of journalist I want to be. And say to the world, these are the stories that matter to me. And so you will learn so much. Was it, I mean, it's so cringe when a 42-year-old quotes Mr. Beast, but I think Mr. Beast said, like, make 100 videos and then start thinking about what you're doing. So you're going to learn so much on editing, storytelling, and you don't have to be in camera as well. You can do those lovely voiceover videos, but you're going to learn so much just by doing. This is a trade ultimately, and you learn by doing uh,
Mm.
as much as you possibly can. So that's what I'd be doing if I was
I
60.
love that. Yeah, because you can be that's essentially an internship, but you're doing
Yeah,
it yourself.
100%. And just on internships quickly, there isn't a hierarchy on work experience. So I got lucky because my dad was a black cab driver, so he used to like get people's cards, and I got a few bits of work experience. But on the CV, I'm not looking for the Sunday Times, like local newspapers, making social media for your sports club, just any. There isn't a hierarchy as long as you're doing journalism. We're
Mm.
loving that. We're loving that. Yeah.
Mm. Well, our last guest, Mercurius, he's a digital marketer, and he said he gave someone some advice, and he was like, just go to your local car dealer, go to your local, shop, and ask if you can do digital marketing for them. But very similar. It's like, can you be writing stories for, like you said, your local sports club, whatever it is, and people will be saying yes, I'm sure.
There's so many charities that could just
Charities, yes, good
do
one.
yeah, like so yeah, as long as you're doing it, that to me then goes, oh my God, this person is so passionate about this industry that they've got off their backside on top of their studies, they're doing this work for free. I want to invest in that person by giving them an opportunity. So it really will put you above the rest if you do those kind of things.
Oh, incredible. Well, thank you so much, Mark. We've had loads of people today watching in. So really, really enjoyed that session. And thank you again.
I'm so sorry I was late.
No, 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 no.
Um,
Not at
follow
all.
me on LinkedIn. If there's any more questions that we didn't get time to, give me a shout.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on Eric because we'll be putting.
And your opportunities that you said are going to come live are on the News UK website.
Yep, newscareers.co.uk. We'll push them through Eric as well as other places as well. But I would definitely follow News UK LinkedIn. And I think you can set up alerts on newscareers.co.uk as well, where we
Mhm.
get all sorts of jobs. And yeah, so hopefully see some of you in our building
Yeah.
soon.